Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Jillian Musser.
And I'm Anthony Durzo. This week on Daybreak, we'll be hearing about everything from karaoke to lawsuits.
We're joined today by several familiar faces, but reporter Cade Montgomery is making his Daybreak debut. Stay tuned for his report, as well as Addison Deal's story on what's new in space.
Reporter Brandon Krasowski has some interesting information about how an alcohol brand has gotten itself into hot water. And of course, we're joined by Nip Kanaka for this week's Politismack.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts right now.
Welcome back, and before we hand it over to our reporters, here's your weekly weather update with Nick Kanaka.
If you think you've spotted a bit of sunshine in recent days, you'd be right. Despite the frigid temperatures, it seems that we're finally reaching the point in the season where the sun begins setting at 6 instead of 4:30. Expect cloudy skies this week with a bit of sun poking out here and there. Look out for the low temperatures we'll be facing this weekend as they'll take themselves down to the single digits. Stay warm and be sure to bundle up. That's it for our weather report. Now back to our hosts.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Taking a more serious turn, reporter Cade Montgomery is here to discuss the recent crime in the downtown area. As students located nearby, it's important as we stay informed.
Take it away, Cade.
Early in downtown Pittsburgh on the morning of Sunday, January 29th, Pittsburgh police responded to reports of multiple shots fired in the area of Smithfield Street and 6th Avenue at around 1 a.m. Pittsburgh Public Safety reported that nobody was injured, though there was some slight property damage, which included a parked vehicle, traffic control box, and even a police car. Though the police car was damaged, officials do not believe that this was a targeted attack, and they say that this event started as a fight between two people. Police report that this is an ongoing investigation. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporters talked to several people downtown to see how they feel about all the recent crime in the area. Many people told reporters that they do not feel much different about the city and that this is just a reality we have to live in now. Alan Kahn of Upper St. Clair said, quote, "You just hope that you come, you park, you walk, and you don't run into anything." There is still no word of any arrests regarding the Sunday morning situation, but police are still actively investigating.
Thank you, Cade. An excellent Daybreak debut.
Now, reporter Brandon Karowski is here to discuss a recent lawsuit that occurred with one of America's most well-known brands of cinnamon whiskey.
Tell us about it, Brandon.
Check your Fireball labels. You may not actually be drinking whiskey depending on the size of the bottle. A lawsuit has been filed against the company that makes Fireball for not actually having whiskey in all of their products. According to CBS News, Sazerac, the company that makes the popular cinnamon alcoholic drink, is being sued for misleading packaging. The class action lawsuit was filed by Chicago resident Anna Marquez, the plaintiff in the case. She noticed that the larger bottles will actually read cinnamon whiskey, while the smaller ones will actually read cinnamon. The lawsuit claims that these key differences create a, quote, misleading impression to consumers of the drink. According to Fireball's website, any package with cinnamon whiskey is a whiskey-based product, while those without whiskey on the label are just malt-based or wine-based alcohol. Smaller bottles of the product are typically sold in gas stations around Pennsylvania, as hard liquors are only sold at wine and spirits stores across the state. We'll keep you posted on any developments in this lawsuit. Reporting for Daybreak, I'm Brandon Krasowski. Let's send it back to our host.
I never would have thought that would have happened.
No, that's so weird.
I mean,
That's
why?
I mean, we can't personally relate to that. I mean,
No.
we're both 18, but
Right.
I mean, of course, I don't know. They do sell it in gas stations though. There's like the gas station by my house. There's like a bunch of them. There's a big display. And now thinking back to it, they did have missing the whiskey on the bottles. I remember that.
Well, hopefully by the time we're 21, they have everything figured out.
Yeah, they better. Thanks so much, Kate and Brandon.
We'll be right back after the break with this week's campus news. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. My name is Craig Furkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is
countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up on Newsnight.
Welcome back, everyone.
We have some more exciting news in store from our reporters, but first we'll cover what's going on here on campus.
It's time for your campus news, Point Park.
Get ready for coffee, music, and poetry here around the Pioneer campus this week, this Thursday, February 2nd. Get ready for not one, but two performance events. Starting off with the third Thursday open mic reading. This event is hosted by Name Pending and the Black Student Union. It'll be taking place at Point Park from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Celebrate Black History Month with readings of nonfiction, fiction, and poems. Then come down to Smithfield Street. Pioneer Records is holding its monthly karaoke. The event will take place at Creative Coffee from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Grab a cup of coffee and sing your heart out.
If you're looking for a place to watch this year's Super Bowl, the Honor Student Organization will be hosting its own Super Bowl party. Super Bowl 57 will take place on February 12th at State Farm Stadium, home to the Arizona Cardinals. The party will take place in Lawrence Room 200 at 6 and kickoff is scheduled for 6:30. Free food and prizes will be provided while attendees watch the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Love is in the air, as well as coffee here at Point Park. This Friday, February 3rd, join Campus Activities Board in Isla for the Spread the Love Coffee House. This event will be in the Lawrence Hall lobby from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Isla is a new organization here on campus. This event will highlight their goals and more about Isla. There will be crafts and a card station for Valentine's Day. Of course, there will be coffee, snacks, and other free goodies. Come out and support CAB and Isla for the season of love.
Who do you want to win the Super Bowl?
Okay, well, we obviously all wanted the Steelers, but they gone. So I'm from Lancaster, and that's close to Philly. So I got to root for the Eagles. I mean, I'm not happy that I'm rooting for the Eagles. It's just kind of a default option.
You don't root for Philly.
It's a default. I could say I wrote for Baltimore. How would you feel about that?
That's
what
just
I
hurt my
thought.
heart. Do you realize that?
No, my cousin did, though. There was one year, a Super Bowl party. Everybody was there for the Steelers, and my one cousin was there for Baltimore.
Wrong.
Christmas gets ruined every year.
Now, I don't want Kansas. I mean, ideally, I wanted Minnesota, but that didn't happen. But, I mean, I need to root for Kansas City over Philadelphia. I'm sorry.
Let's be real here. At the end of the day, I really don't care.
I care.
So,
I care. I'm going to that party.
are you actually? Lit.
Yeah.
After the break, we'll start by diving into this week's Pittsburgh news. Find out what went down at a local high school and what church has temporarily suspended business.
Then we'll hand things over to our reporters and finish off this week's Ray of Sunshine.
Don't go anywhere. Daybreak will be right back.
Welcome back to Daybreak, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the break.
Now, without further ado, here is your city news.
St. Albert the Great Church in Baldwin has temporarily suspended all masses and events. This comes after a large portion of the tower's brickwork has loosened and is now separating from the tower. Parishioners received a phone call last Wednesday being informed that there is a chance that the tower may fall onto the church, break through the roofing, and land in the sanctuary area. Representatives from the Diocese of Pittsburgh have moved masses to the upper hall of the parish center at St. Albert the Great. The parish says that they are hopeful repairs will be completed soon. In the meantime, parishioners may attend other masses at St. Sylvester, St. Basil's, or Holy Angels.
This past Friday, a brawl erupted in Brashear High School. Dozens of students were captured on a cell phone video aggressively hitting each other while teachers tried to intervene. The fight was relatively short and was broken up by a student who began to use pepper spray. While thankfully there was no injuries, a number of students are facing disciplinary charges. This is not the first fight to break out at Brashear, though. Multiple fights have been reported around the school. President of the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers, Nina Esportia Vigistis, believes these fights are caused by social media. According to ABC WTAE4, she says, quote, "It was definitely brought in from outside. Snapchat or TikTok or one of them. They came in ready. 2 different neighborhoods. They came in annoyed with each other," end quote. Many students recorded the fight, which just seemed to aggravate them more. Brashear is considering banning phones from their school. However, many Pittsburgh school districts have banned phones. A lawsuit is currently circulating claiming the cause of these students' distress is due to social media. The Pittsburgh School Board voted to join that lawsuit last week.
If you are a common user of the Three Rivers Heritage Trail, you may be forced to find another route. A portion of the trail, which is also known as the Great Allegheny Passage, will close this Wednesday due to a narrowing section of the concrete. According to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the portion that will be closed connects the Monongahela Wharf to Point State Park. Excavation inside Point State Park has already begun by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. The Post-Gazette also reported that the $4.2 million project will widen the surface of the trail and improve the grading and lighting. This portion of the trail is scheduled to reopen in the fall of 2023. Can I just politely correct you? It's Brashear. Brashear. I don't mean to embarrass you, but it's Brashear. And I only know that because my cousin went to high school there, and he
Oh, did he?
graduated in 2004. And I talked to him.
When we were born?
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But we were talking about this, and he said that they hardly had any. I mean, there were a couple fights, but it never got to this point.
No, it is really bad because I remember when I came back for Thanksgiving break, there were so many fights at my school. Like a teacher was involved and got arrested. Like it was awful. Like
That's a shame.
it was bad.
You should be able to go to school and not expect something like that
There
to
was a
happen.
fight last year when I was on we had senior skip day, and the girl called the principal over before she full on body slammed this girl because she was on the wrestling team.
Ooh.
Like it was crazy for Amish country.
So it happens in Amish country and the urban environment.
Yeah, it's
too,
it's everywhere.
regarding
It's
the
everywhere.
schools. Okay.
Coming up, we have this week's Ray of Sunshine. But first, we'll hear from our reporters for this week's latest in politics and space.
First up is Nick Canupta with this week's Politismack. Nick?
An investigation is currently following the beating and later death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee earlier this month. Police body cam footage was released by the city of Memphis on Friday, launching a storm of outrage across the country. According to an analysis by NBC News, 17 cities across the country have seen protests mobilize following the release of the footage, including one in Pittsburgh, which took place on Saturday. So what led up to the death of Tyree Nichols, and how are elected officials responding? Let's start with the timeline. On January 7th, Memphis police stopped Nichols for supposed reckless driving and pinned him to the ground after threatening to tase him. After some struggle between the parties, Nichols eventually fled the scene, leading one officer to fire his taser, which did not appear to hit the 29-year-old. After being chased into a residential area, body cam footage shows Nichols being pepper sprayed, kicked, and beaten with a baton by the officers as they attempted to handcuff him. Sometime after Nichols was handcuffed, he was hospitalized where he died 3 days later. On the day following the encounter, the 5 police officers involved in the arrest were relieved of duty and were eventually fired. On Thursday, a grand jury charged all 5 officers with second-degree murder, among other charges. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy said in a Thursday press conference that the extraordinary nature of the case led the office to expedite their investigation and the consideration of charges for the officers. At the same press conference, Mulroy said, quote, "Perhaps this incident can open a broader conversation about the need for police reform." Here's what the lawmakers who make those reforms had to say. President Joe Biden called the footage, quote, "horrific," and reaffirmed his support for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, saying on Friday to NBC News, "I can only do so much with an executive order." Senators Cory Booker and Tim Scott, a Democrat and Republican, both called for legislative action in the wake of the death of Nichols. Those two lawmakers were in talks to develop bipartisan police reform legislation, but negotiations eventually fell through last year. Even if the two work out a deal, they will be hard-pressed to find enough bipartisan support to make any bill through the currently divided Congress.
A team of researchers in Antarctica recently uncovered a 17-pound meteorite. The team had been using satellite technology in order to search the area for meteorites and other space debris. Meteorites are not that uncommon to find here on Earth, but what is uncommon is the enormous size of this particular rock. Among the 17-pounders, scientists also found 4 other spatial debris much smaller in size. While the other rocks were not so mighty, small meteorites are just as valuable when studying spatial material. One of the researchers, Maria Valdez from the University of Chicago, said in a statement, quote, "Size doesn't necessarily matter when it comes to meteorites, and even tiny micrometeorites can be incredibly scientifically valuable. But of course, finding a big meteorite like this one is rare and really exciting," end quote. In more otherworldly news, the James Webb Space Telescope team of astronomers made an exciting discovery about our universe's first stars. While going over research, an image found a light given off by a rare isotope of helium in a different galaxy. This light indicates a possible discovery of the universe's first stars. These stars were born from the same gases that created the entire universe, dating them back to the beginning of everything. They have been named the Population 3 stars and were originally estimated to have exploded as supernovas, eventually creating the planets in our solar system. Discoveries like this can also propel research on Population 3 stars in other fields. While this sighting has not been confirmed yet, scientists are working to follow this glimpse of light to confirm the sighting.
Thanks, everyone. In case this is your first time joining us or you just need a refresher, a ray of sunshine is our way of starting your day with a smile and an inspirational quote.
Sometimes it's hard to appreciate the small victories. Especially as a student, it can feel like everyone is a step ahead of you.
Our quote for this week is from Tony Robbins and reads, "No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying." And ain't that the truth?
That is such facts. I mean, like, I'm always somebody who likes to stay way ahead of work. Something's due 2 weeks away. If I have time to do it now, it's getting done.
Yeah.
And, like, people, like, sometimes get mad at me about it. They're like, "Oh, you're such a try-hard." And I'm like, no.
It's not a try hard. You want to get it done so you don't have to worry about it later.
Yeah, I like to use my time later. And then when everybody else is doing that weekend before, I'm getting extra hours at work.
Yeah, you're trying and some other people aren't.
Yeah. Like,
That's like
everybody moves their
sometimes
own
when
pace.
like somebody misses an assignment. This annoys me. When somebody misses an assignment and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get 10% off it anyway. Why even bother?" Well, no, because not only are you getting not getting the practice, but like you still have to try in order to like make the grade. I don't get it, but
Like,
that's just me.
hard work pays off at the end.
It
And,
does.
like,
At the end, it's difficult.
you
but
got
it'll get
people
you
like
places.
us who do like everything low key, and like we still get our stuff in on time, and we still whip out
Yeah.
them A's.
Yeah, it's all about time organization too.
Yeah.
That works.
That's it for this episode of Daybreak. Thank you all so much for watching.
You can catch clips from all of our previous Daybreak episodes on our YouTube at UView Television.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at DaybreakPPU. Until next time, I'm Jillian Musser.
And I'm Anthony Durzo, hoping your news is great news. See you next week, everyone.